What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the stats as well as some excellent attachment combinations for every gun in Modern Warfare 3. And in today's episode, we're going to be wrapping it up for the LMG category, at least for the launch LMGs, with the Holger 26. And starting it off as always, let's have a look at our damage profile, and with this gun, it's always going to be a 5 to 6 shot kill to the body, and it's quite interesting to note that it doesn't matter where in the body you're shooting them, it will take you the same number of shots to kill. In saying that though, when we want to mix headshots in the maximum damage range, mixing just one headshot in with torso shots will result in a 4-shot kill, whereas if you hit too many leg shots in that scenario, then it's going to take you more than one headshot. So that's really the only situation where these body multipliers are going to matter. Aside from that, it's going to be an incredibly consistent gun. Next, let's get into our rate of fire, which is 706 rounds per minute, and what this means for our time to kill potential is with a 5-shot kill, this is 340 milliseconds. And to be honest, that time to kill is a little bit below average. It's not a highly competitive time to kill, but I do want to remind you, this is nearly identical to the time to kill to the body with the MCW, which is widely regarded as being one of the best guns in the game because it has various other upsides that it shares in common with the Holger. And the first big upside is the fact that headshots are incredibly effective with this gun. Like I said, in that maximum damage range, you just need to mix one single headshot in with those body shots in order to get a 4-shot kill, which gives you a time to kill of 255 milliseconds. And that is a very fast time to kill in this game that's going to beat out most SMGs up close. So just because the base body time to kill up close is a bit on the slower side, that doesn't mean you should completely dismiss this gun because it has a ton of other upsides with it. In either case, let's get into our ranges, and as we can see here, our maximum damage range, where that one headshot is really going to matter, is about 32 meters, so not bad at all. And then our 5-shot kill anywhere in the body, this will extend out to about 46 meters, and anything beyond that will result in a 6-shot kill. Additionally, our bullet velocity is the slowest in the LMG category, but I mean, it's still great at 790 meters per second. On most of the 6v6 maps, this should generally never be an issue for you. And now let's get into hardcore game modes. And with this gun, it's going to be a guaranteed 1-shot kill anywhere in the body out to 46 meters. And then anything beyond that will be a 2-shot kill. Unless it's a headshot, this does have an infinite 1-shot kill potential to the head. As for Hipfire, the Holger 26 is actually pretty good for an LMG. It's got a standard minimum Hipfire spread if you're just standing still, but most importantly, our maximum Hipfire spread when we're moving and shooting our gun, this is 7.5 degrees per second, which is actually pretty close to average for an assault rifle rather than an LMG. Then let's take a look at our recoil, and this is one of the areas where the Holger does quite well. It is quite an accurate gun. It kicks upward with a very consistent lean to the right. It's a nice straightforward recoil pattern. No crazy zigzags, not a lot of bouncing side to side or anything. It is quite easy to control and predict this recoil pattern, and therefore I consider the Holger to be one of the more accurate LMGs. After that, let's move into our handling stats, and our aim down sight speed is actually great for an LMG. It's the best in the LMG category at 300 milliseconds. And it's a pretty similar story with our sprint out time. This is tied as being the best for the LMG category at 210 milliseconds. As for our reload add time, this is not bad, but also not great at 2.39 seconds. It's obviously very noticeably faster than the belt-fed LMGs, but if you did compare this to something like an assault rifle, this is still quite slow. And then finally, for the base stats of this gun, let's have a look at our mobility stats. And for every one of our movement speeds, it's either going to be the best in the LMG category, or it's at least tied as being the best in the LMG category. So mobility is an area where this gun actually excels, at least as far as LMGs go. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for all of the base stats of the Holger 26. Now it's time to get into some excellent attachment combinations for this gun, and the first one I wanted to share, as per usual, is my accuracy build. And with this particular setup, I'm using the RF Crown 50 muzzle. That's the one that I just found to be best with this particular style of recoil. We've got the Holger factory barrel, which helps with recoil a bit, but more importantly, it also significantly improves our damage range as well as our bullet velocity, so this makes it even better at those longer ranges. We've got the Mark III reflector optic on there, the Ascent Lord stock, and then finally the MWIII 20 grip, which not only helps with recoil control, this one also helps with flinch resistance, so that's just an added benefit for using this gun at longer ranges as well. You're not going to be flinching off target nearly as much when you get shot. And with this particular setup, as you can see, it is a very accurate gun. It still does have a bit of a diagonal pattern where it's kicking upward and a bit to the right, but everything's just so much tighter together with this, and it's still a very easy pattern to control and predict, so you should find that accuracy is not a problem with this. Our aim down sight speed is noticeably slower than the base version of the Holger, but it's still technically better than average for LMGs at 370 milliseconds. That is a very reasonable aim down sight speed for a long range build. And it's pretty similar with our sprint out time. Yes, it's a bit slower than the base version of the Holger, but I mean, it's still not bad at all for an LMG at 227 milliseconds. Now on top of that, since we are using that Holger factory barrel, our range values are increased by 30%, which is a huge increase, and our bullet velocity is increased up to 873 meters per second, which is quite nice if you're taking those extremely long range gunfights. So that's the first one, and honestly an excellent setup if you plan on keeping yourself at a bit of a distance. Not only is it very accurate, it also has very reasonable handling stats for a long-range LMG build. As for the next one though, this is my all-around stealth build where I'm going to be a lot more aggressive with it. I'm going to treat it a lot more like an assault rifle because it has many assault rifle-like stats. But with this, we're using the Shadow Strike suppressor so we can stay off the radar and flank our enemies. We once again have that Ascent Lord stock and the MWIII 20 grip. These attachments are amazing on the Holger. We've got the 40-round magazine, which is quite important for this because this very noticeably improves our handling and mobility stats. And finally, we've got the DR6 handstop underbarrel, which I use interchangeably with an optic. Sometimes I'm just not in the mood to use the iron sights for this gun, so I'll swap out that handstop for a Mark III reflector, and other times I'm perfectly happy with that handstop instead. And with this one, we still have a very accurate gun on our hands. Our accuracy is still improved quite noticeably from the base version of this gun, even though it's obviously not as accurate as my accuracy build. We've also got a really solid aim down sight speed, especially for an LMG at 264 milliseconds. That's much more competitive with assault rifles. And it's the same thing with our sprint out speed. This is 179 milliseconds, which is quite competitive with the assault rifles in this game. Additionally, it's worth noting with that 40-round magazine, we get a slightly faster reload time at 2.05 seconds. And then, of course, with that suppressor, we are off the radar, so you can flank enemies really effectively with this gun. And honestly, this is my favorite way to run the Holger 26 for most of the 6v6 maps in the game. Obviously, for the longer range maps like Wasteland or Derailed or something like that, I'm going to be going with my accuracy build over this. But this one's just much better for most of the 6v6 maps, at least in my opinion, with my preferred playstyle. So that's my Holger 26 stealth build. Now let's get into my tac stance build, and the Holger 26 is actually great with tac stance, I've found. Now with this one, we've got the S37C DL Breacher, the Bruin Bastion Angled Grip, the Stovall DR Laser Box, and then finally the CT 2000 Tactical Rear Grip. And with this setup, we get quite a tight tac stance spread here at 1.2 degrees per second. This also doesn't increase much at all when you start firing or if you're moving around the map. So hitting your target even out to mid-range is very viable in tac stance with this gun. Our aim down sight speed is noticeably slower than the base, but it's not nearly as relevant when you're using tac stance. Our sprint out time is noticeably improved, which is excellent. Our hipfire spread is also great, so if you don't manage to get into a tac stance, you can also just hipfire up close and personal and still be reasonably effective. And like I said, this gun just handles quite well in tac stance. It's very accurate, it doesn't climb super fast on you, and it allows you to maintain pretty decent mobility when in tac stance. Now, obviously, it's not going to be the most versatile way to use this gun, and it's more so just for fun, but if you really like using a tac stance build, the Holger 26 does quite well with this. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's gun guide on the Holger 26. As for my thoughts on this gun, it's my favorite LMG in the game by far. In fact, it's actually one of my favorite guns in the entire game. And the reason I like it so much is it's kind of like the MCW of the LMG category. It may not have the fastest time to kill to the body, but it's the most effective with mixing just one headshot in, and if you do that, you get a ridiculously fast time to kill. And since it's a very accurate gun with solid handling stats, at least as far as LMGs go, it makes it really easy to hit those headshots quite consistently, and that makes this my favorite overall. Now, of course, these are just my opinions on the Holger 26, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about this gun in those comments down below. Also, if you guys have missed any of the previous episodes of Gun Guides, I will leave a link to the playlist in the description of the video. If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.